Yo, what's going on YouTube? Yesterday I had asked you guys to drop down your questions in the comment section, let me know what questions you guys have been wondering. And we actually got two of the same question, which was what kind of paper do I use? Now over time my opinion on this has kind of shifted, but currently I am using mixed media paper by Pensole. The reason why I'm using it is because naturally the paper is very white. Some of the other papers that I've used in the past have a yellowish tint, and for the purposes of the video I want to make sure that the drawings come out very clear and very clean. And it's much easier to do that when I have whiter, clearer paper. Now, while this is a very simple answer, I do want to kind of like dig into this a little bit more, so hear me out. So part of my success and being an artist has been through practice. I think anybody who is successful at anything has had a lot of practice that's went behind the scenes. If you're looking to practice on a sheet of paper, I would stick with copy paper. When I was young and I didn't have really a lot of money, copy paper was my go-to. That's the cheap paper that you can buy in binds of like 500 or whatever. Very cheap, very affordable. Now, of course, the quality of that paper is very cheap. It's very thin, it's very flimsy. If you use markers on it, the markers will probably bleed through. However, for the purposes of just trying out a drawing to see how it looks, it's very good and very efficient to go ahead and use your copy paper to get your ideas on the paper so that way you have something to go off of. For the 21-day challenge, none of my drawings have been something that I made up completely out of thin air and they came out perfect as I started to apply them onto the paper. What I've been doing is, because the stencil for the outsole has been supplied to us through Pensole, you can go ahead down the link in the description and grab that. I set it up in a format where I had 6 of those on the page, and I just printed that out on copy paper. I did some quick rough outline work to go ahead and get some ideas down to see what I wanted to use. And even back when I was young, when I would do a lot of my drawings, it was either exclusively on copy paper or I used a lot of copy paper for the initial drawing sketches. Drawing can be expensive. Any hobby that you want to get into is going to have some cost associated with it. Even the people who aren't even too big into basketball in terms of fashion and footwear, like basketball shoes are still expensive. You still have to buy equipment, you still have to get your hoop, your net, all that good stuff. Every hobby has a cost associated with it. Now, what I don't want you guys to do is to spend a lot of money and then waste that money on things that you shouldn't be doing. A good example of that is if you're going to go ahead and buy more expensive paper, like the pack that I have comes with 60 sheets, and I believe that was about 13-14 bucks. But with each one of these sheets, these are what I'm using my videos for, so it's the higher quality paper that I'm willing to use on a better output. If I was just using these sheets for sketches, I wouldn't, because that would be a waste of my money. So I highly suggest, if you guys are just trying to get some sketches done and you're not really trying to go into anything too deep, go ahead, use your cheap printer paper, use your pencils, use Sharpies if you need to get some basic line work and coloring down. Don't go into anything too expensive until you're ready to execute. That being said, if you go to execute and you're working on your lines and you're using your markers and stuff and you make a mistake, keep going. There shouldn't be a mistake that's too big to the point where you should scrap the whole thing. At the very least, if you're working on something and there's a little mistake where like you colored one part in wrong, at the very least go through, see it through, see how that design looks when it's done. There's been a few times in my early days of this channel where I deleted videos because of a small mistake that just annoyed me to the point where I couldn't even watch the video. I wanted it taken down. These are mistakes that nobody else would have probably caught. So if you're ever in a spot where you feel like you've made a mistake and it's annoying you, keep in mind you're your worst critic. Nobody's going to be more harsh on your artwork than you probably. So always see it through. It will help you more than it will hurt you, I promise you. Alright guys, that wraps up today's video. Let me know your questions down below. Keep giving me your questions. I will answer them for tomorrow's video. As always, if you enjoy this content, leave a like. I'm actually really excited for this contest to be over because there's a lot of other stuff I want to do, but I do want to see this contest through, so at the moment, this is what we're still doing. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.